going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you might be watching in from. Welcome to a special edition of Crypto Has Fallen Off the Face of the Earth. Crypto Happy Hour, aka Crypto Sad Hour right now, because if you have any money in crypto right now, you're probably watching that fiat value go down and down and down and down and down. And it's probably not fun for a lot of people, but it is what it is. What's up, Litecoin Lewis? What's up, Jonathan, Evelyn, Eric, David, Luis, Randall? Hope you guys are having a good one. Johnny, what is going on, folks? I hope you're having a good one. What's up, Shin, as well? Appreciate everybody taking the time to join tonight. And yeah, obviously want to talk about all the stuff that's going on. It's funny because before, when I was recording the daily video this morning, I recorded the video and I was editing it, and like the markets were down like, I don't know, 5%. Like overall is down, I think, like $20 billion. And then I finished editing it and I'm about to upload it, and I see like Bitcoin literally as I was editing it, it was this hourly candle at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe a little bit, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when it just fell off the face of the earth from 7,200 all the way down to below $6,700. And as soon as that happened, I was like, God damn it, of course this happens. And now I'm gonna have to re-record, or I should go live, but I have this video up, so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll just do that instead. So I posted that, but yeah, obviously wanted to come in because there's a lot of craziness going on today, and it hasn't been too much fun. And really across the board, anywhere you look, outside of just Bitcoin, a lot of this went down at around noon to 1 o'clock Eastern time in the US, whatever that might be for your time zone. But I mean, across the board, we refreshed this. That was game credits before, was actually in the green, but now every single thing, the best performing asset right now is Maker, and that is only down 5% against the USD. Only down 5% against the USD. Outside of that, the worst performing asset right now is EOS. After EOS's kind of whole big hubbub about everything with EOS, that I haven't been keeping as much of an eye on as much as I should, but the EOS launch that is going down right now, that has fallen off the face of the earth. There's also been the opening of the opportunity to actually short EOS on BitMEX. So I think it looks like EOS is going through a nice little period of price discovery, and not in a positive manner on BitMEX. So if you have EOS, that's probably not the most fun day in the world. As they say, buy the test net, sell the main net. So taking a look at a lot of these questions and trying to get things rolling for that. As I'm scrolling through that, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. Would really appreciate that. Helps get this video out to as many people as possible. The more times you hit the thumbs up button, the price maybe goes up. Who knows? But yeah, so a couple different things that have been going on today as well. So one thing that people were saying was part of the reason for this dip, or this, I don't even think you can call it a dip, basically falling off the face of the earth. Right now, according to my friends over at Nomics, we are down $39 billion in the past 24 hours or so. We'll refresh this just to get the accurate number. Might be a little bit more. Yeah, $39.5 billion. The entire market cap of the overall cryptocurrency market is down 12% in the last 24 hours or so. So that is super fun. Down 12%, down 40 billion bucks. Bloomberg has talked a little bit about this. A Korean exchange, I've seen some things going on with this. A Korean exchange apparently was hacked, CoinRail, and I believe this is the Ethereum address, in which, so they said that they apparently froze the exposed NPXS, NPER, and ATX coins. I believe if you pop over here to this website right now, this is the Etherscan of, you can see here they even have the phishing scam, which is kind of cool that they do that. But apparently they were able to steal XYZ in the past day or so. They stole 142,000, is that 142, I think it was 142 Ether at some point in time, and then ATX, Aston X, they have about $13 million of that was stolen. But to attribute $14-15 million hack of an exchange that I believe, like they said here, is the 98th largest in the world, for that to remove $40 billion of market cap, I don't really believe that's the cause. A lot of people now are talking about manipulation and blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean the markets are heavily manipulated. Like let's not say they're not, but it is funny that anytime the market drops significantly, everybody just cries and freaks out. So it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. Slayer fan, with you going live, BTC to 5K. I don't know, but I mean, usually it's time. Anytime I go live, it's not a good thing for the markets. But I think the damage might have already been done. Who knows? Yeah, BitRail, CoinRail, any exchange, like Evelyn said, any exchange that has a rail in it, don't stay far away from it now. That's typically you're going to get hacked and you're going to lose your money. That is it seems to be the move. Paul Lindsay, what's up, man? When June 6th pump? I don't think that's coming. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. I even drove across the George Washington Bridge today. No pump at all. Nothing solid. Nothing good. So I think we're just out of luck as far as it, as far as it goes. But for me personally, so I do have some fiat on the sidelines right now. I do have some dollars on the sidelines. I was thinking about, I've been thinking I'm kind of tempted to make a decent sized buy of Bitcoin here, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I think risk reward for me right now, looking at the market as a whole, is a lot of people are freaking out. I think we're seeing kind of continued. I think we're going to continue to see retail capitulation. More and more people. This sentiment, just people are freaking the hell out, which is fine. I mean, it's going to happen. Somebody had a really good tweet before. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but let me see if I can pull it up. Somebody had a really solid tweet before, as far as like the overall market cycles and how they typically work. Because it's funny, it's basically the same damn thing every single time. I'll try and pull it up here. Here we go. Crypto graffiti. So actually, I'll just read it out loud, just so I don't have to bring it up on the other screen. But basically, crypto graffiti, it's at crypto graffiti, said number one, prices rise and new blood enters. Number two, prices fall and most leave, but some look beyond money and learn how game-changing this is. Number three, market grows, rinse and repeat. It really is the same thing, and that happens multiple times. The extent of that cycle can be very, very different. There have been times where Bitcoin had contracted for over a year. The entire crypto market really shrunk down for well over, I think it was like 17, 18 months, 2014, 2015 timeframe. But a ton of people entered in 2013. That's personally when I got into the market, was December 2013 when the prices rose. I bought the top. New blood enters. I was the new blood. Prices fell. I lost a lot of interest, but stuck around a little bit, but didn't continue to do anything. And then the market starts growing again. New blood enters again. Market drops. Those people leave. It's over and over and over again. So Litecoin Lewis, TA is no scam. So I would actually agree with that. I personally don't have a real background in technical analysis. There are people that do, but so I was having. If any of you guys watched the video I had with Travis Kling and Rocco, it was a few days ago. It was actually last Thursday. I spoke with Travis and Rocco. Travis is running a crypto hedge fund. Ran a $200 million portfolio. At 0.72, which is a huge hedge fund for basically managing Steve Cohen's money. But I was talking. I had a chance to meet up with him when I was in LA, and I was talking to Travis about technical analysis, and he's like, "Look, there's a reason that a lot of guys work with it on, there's a reason a lot of guys kind of rely on technical analysis, especially in crypto, because with crypto, there's really not any incredibly strong metrics that you can utilize right now. There's a lot of people trying to use, whether it's some combination of MV equals PQ, NVT ratios, trying to look at transactions, trying to look at all these different things. There's not a lot of good solid data or metrics that you can use to trade right now for more sophisticated people. But with technical analysis, it at least gives you some level of baseline and a way to look at things and kind of gauge human emotion as well. So I personally don't have an incredible background in technical analysis. You guys know me, I'm not really a TA guy, but I do believe in, if that's something that you have the understanding of, I do think that there is validity there. And to dismiss it as like, voodoo craziness, I don't necessarily know if that's the smartest thing in the world either. And it's also something too that, I mean, with TA, I see a lot of people arguing in the comments, but with TA, like, you're not always right. It's just trying to give you some level of informational edge. If you're right 55% of the time, that's pretty damn good. So yeah, you're trying to get that level of edge that you might have over the market, over just hodling. So TA does not work with crypto. That's not true though. Like, TA might work for some people, it might not work for other people, but I think, having it as the only thing is probably not the best way to approach it. But technical analysis combined with just general understanding of news, fundamental analysis, a lot of other components, examining metrics, there are sophisticated investors now that are still using some level of technical analysis as well. Any thoughts on Dragon Chain? Could be the next sleeper. Ethereum, EOS. Dragon Chain has fallen off the face of the earth. I don't know if it's on Chain FX. Would love to, yeah, Dragon Chain. Where is it? Dragon Chain is down 90% from its all-time high. I mean, this chart's brutal. It was trading up at $4, close to $5. Literally almost touched $5, and now it's trading at 50 cents. I forget what the ICO. I think the ICO is maybe around like 10 cents or something like that. Let's see here. Dragon Chain conducted 2 token sales in 2017, the pre-sale. They didn't even sell at the public sale, but right afterwards they just absolutely shot through the roof in this January timeframe, and it's slowly bled out. I mean, it might, to be honest, I might look at accumulating. I think I need to do a little bit more diligence on Dragon Chain as a whole, but like that type of just absolute beatdown might be worth trying to snag a little bit and accumulate. I don't have any at all, Dragon Chain, but Prime Coin XPM forking into BTC Prime. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That's a Rhett Cretan fork, and I think I don't know. After him basically leaving Bitcoin private, hyping up Bitcoin private for months and months and months, and then doing the whole ZCL fork to Bitcoin private. He leaves Bitcoin private, says it was never about me, blah blah blah. That's BS. It was very much about him, at least in my personal opinion. And then like a week later, he announces he's going to fork whichever Prime into BTC Prime. I don't know. That's no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. Greg, what's up, man? Read Raven's white paper, or read Raven's white paper and intrigued. I know you've talked about this coin before briefly. You think RVN has legs to grow long term? Cheers. Thanks, man. Appreciate that super chat. Very kind of you. Let me pull up if I can find my mouse. Yeah, I do like Raven. Personally, I think the level of kind of the size of where it's at right now, it's definitely pulled back quite a bit from the early May timeframe and had a nice little bit of a run initially up to like 50 plus mil. Hasn't shown a lot of momentum along with a lot of other cryptocurrencies though. But I do think it has legs to grow. I like the approach. I think having Bruce Fenton, who's like pretty well respected in the industry for the most part, I think having Bruce Fenton involved in the project and talking a lot on Twitter about Ravencoin and about why security tokens and things of that nature are important. I do think that is going to be helpful, and I like the fact that it is like truly an open source system trying to be ASIC resistant. Whether or not that actually works out in the long run, it's not always the case. But I do think Ravencoin has room to grow, and I have acquired a decent amount of it, and don't plan on selling anytime soon for me personally. What's up, Neil? Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for that super chat. Yeah, Rhett is definitely a serial forker. That is definitely a serial forker. Paul, BTC is down more than all my altcoins today. So I don't know what altcoins you have. There are some like CryptoBridge. So I've started using CryptoBridge a decent amount. I don't love CryptoBridge, but it works pretty damn well for the most part. But there are like, I've noticed sometimes, like, you know, when you have these massive market movements, the most illiquid exchanges like a CryptoBridge or maybe an IDEX, sometimes they're a little bit less affected. Some of those coins that are primarily traded like on a CryptoBridge are a little bit less affected. Like I have like 2 masternode coins, or really one in particular, and that one was actually doing pretty well today for the most part. So that was nice. Alt crypto, alts are trash. I'm turning into a Bitcoin maximalist. I think that's an interesting progression that a lot of people go through. I do think a lot of people start off in the industry and they might. I do think a lot of people kind of start off in crypto and maybe they get into the industry through one way or another, but they start initially maybe like looking at Bitcoin because it's the biggest name, and then they see, oh man, these altcoins, like they make all the money. Everybody talks about these altcoins, and then they start like digging into some of them, and realizing like, hey, I really like this Bitcoin use case a little bit more. I'm just more passionate about Bitcoin, whatever it might be. So I do think people over time, like that don't expect it or that come into it, kind of there is a pretty interesting progression where people kind of move towards Bitcoin maximalism. I am not a maximalist by any stretch. I do think like maximalists kind of are annoying, whether it's Bitcoin maximalist, Ethereum maximalist, EOS maximalist now. I do think that that a lot of times it's kind of annoying, but I think that they're good to listen to. But personally, I think that like Bitcoin it's my highest conviction bet. My goal right now is just to stack Bitcoin over time, because I do think it's going to be very valuable. That's kind of my bet. Outside, like I don't just have money in Bitcoin. Like I have money in the regular stock market. I have money in like a Betterment or Wealthfront. I have money in 401k, all that type of crap. But I just, this is my, like, I'm a pretty young dude, so I feel like, you know what, if there's an opportunity to make this long-term bet that Bitcoin really does become something, I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to do that. So pulling this up now, Elastos. Seems like a lot of people have been asking about Elastos recently. I'm not exactly sure. Why. Seems like kind of as of late, a lot of people have been jumping into, really diving into Elastos in a little bit more depth. I've talked about them, I think, in a little bit of detail in the past. I do think that the partnerships that they have are fairly interesting. And they're typically partnerships that end up with teams that do pretty well. I mean, they're already a pretty solid size cryptocurrency. I mean, you're talking about 185 billion. They're only on Huobi, really. So you think, there's probably opportunity to get on some other exchanges there as well. Huobi and BCX, but there might be a premium, or there might be you might be of acquiring this Elastos at a discount because it's not on Binance or on Bithumb or whatever other exchanges out there, Bittrex, whatever it might be. But I haven't done really the full round. I'll make a note actually today to read the white paper of Elastos and do like a full round of diligence on this, and I'll tweet about it afterwards, maybe this evening as well. So I'll do that because I've gotten a lot of questions on this, and I haven't done as much research. So I'll read up on Elastos. I will put my thoughts out via Twitter, and just see if it's something worth for me considering or not. So, what's up, Paul? You the man. You the man, Paul. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for that. Love seeing your name up there as well. Somebody said Mt. Gox did this. No, I joked about that on Twitter, but Mt. Gox had nothing. The Mt. Gox trustee, there's nothing to do with this at all. Mt. Gox didn't do anything. There was nothing going on at all. Nothing crazy about that whatsoever. So should be okay. Nothing with Mt. Gox. Trying to. Rahul, am I still working with AirSwap? Yes. What use case does Bitcoin have right now? So I'm going to pull this up. I believe, let me see. Somebody recently, let me get this for us. This is something that I have not read yet, but it's something that it's on my list as well. Tonight I was looking to do that. Let's see here. So Pierre Rochard, who is definitely a Bitcoin maximalist per se, but I think a good person to listen to or to learn from. So Pierre wrote this article. He has like a Bitcoin advisory firm and some other things, but he wrote an investment thesis on Bitcoin, published it yesterday. I have not gotten a chance to dive into it at all yet, but this is on my list. It's a 9-minute read. It's on Medium. I will link to this. So I'll actually here's the article. So I'll put that in there. But he goes through the investment thesis of why you might want to invest in Bitcoin, what some of the good portions are, what some of the bad things are, and also like the potential adoption. So when somebody asks, what are the potential use cases, you can see here, whether it's retail payments, micropayments, remittances, online gambling, black markets, Ponzi schemes, like the good, the bad, the ugly, tax evasion, a lot of the different things that you can come to expect when it comes down to Bitcoin. Yeah, so like I said before, I do have some USD on the sidelines right now, and I am holding off. I think we might be dipping lower here. If we go, if we bounce, which would obviously be nice, it's preferable. But if we bounce, then it's an opportunity that I missed out on. But for me personally, I think that I would love to. I'm not opposed to seeing the market go a little bit lower, seeing a little bit more blood, and buying up at potentially a sub $6,000 number. I mean, if we hit sub $6,000, people are going to freak out, and I'm definitely going to be accumulating sub $6,000. Crazy Eddie, Bobby looks defeated. No, just tired. Late night last night. Shout out to the dude from Artichoke Pizza in New York, though, who watches the channel. When I was checking out, he said I was checking out at this like pizza place that's like pretty popular in New York at like 3:30 in the morning. I was checking out, and I give the guy $10, and he said something about fiat currency, and I was like, oh, he's like, oh, you're paying me with like this fiat or this dirty fiat currency. The guy said, and I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Dirty fiat currency? And then he said something. He's like, yeah, you look like this dude I watch. I'm like, on YouTube? And he's like, yeah, it talks about, I'm like, Crypto Bobby. And he's like, oh shit, that's you. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So yeah, shout out to that guy. Gave me a free bottle of water, so I'll take that all day long. I needed that after last night. But yeah, that's why I look like shit, because I was out till 4 o'clock in the morning eating pizza. So I'll pop over here, and also shout out to Onchain FX. I think they're doing some really nice things. I think they're doing some really nice things when it comes down to just the actual setup of the website. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. I don't even know if they make money on it or how they make money on it. But somebody mentioned Litecoin. Thoughts on Litecoin? I just like the way that the dashboard is set up now for Litecoin. Nomo FOMO should have given you free pizza. I think he would have given me free pizza, but I already paid for it. That's like how the whole conversation came up when I was paying for it in dirty fiat currency. So that was funny. But yeah, so Litecoin right now for me personally, I haven't loved the Litecoin. Litecoin was an interesting play when the fees for Bitcoin were rocketing, and there was a lot of, I would say, like negative press around the price of, or how expensive and how slow it was to transact in Bitcoin's network. Right now, it's the transaction fees have definitely come down pretty substantially, as well as I think for the most part, actually getting your transactions through is a lot quicker. So I think Litecoin's value is being a quick, easy to use cryptocurrency, but that's not necessarily as needed when Bitcoin. It's not necessarily as needed when Bitcoin is quicker and easier to use in relation to back in December and January when the blocks were full and it took 5-6 hours to get a transaction through and $20 in fees and all that crazy crap. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people that were calling Litecoin to $1,000 and things like that, and I just don't see that happening. Personally, I like Litecoin. I think Charlie selling his Litecoin, I think he had good intentions when he probably did that because he wanted to remove his like influence out of the space, but I think that backfired on the price. I mean, it's generally been a bear market since that anyway, but I mean, Litecoin had that just crazy run in December. That was incredible. But yeah, I personally, for me, I feel like there's owning Litecoin and owning Bitcoin is a little bit redundant in my mind when it comes down to not necessarily diversifying, but it's just a little bit redundant to me. Like Litecoin and Bitcoin are fairly similar, and I would rather have my money in gold than in digital gold than in digital silver. Litecoin Cash down 60%. Well, why the hell would anybody buy a Litecoin Cash? I mean, I didn't even know Litecoin Cash was a thing, but like, well, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know people actually like cared about it. And the fact that there are people on the planet Earth that care about Litecoin Cash is mind blowing to me in general. Litecoin going under $100 is going to cause psychological panic. It will be interesting if it does dip below $100. I don't think. Let's see. Has it done that really recently? Yeah, I think it did that once, and very, very, very briefly in February. But if it dips below 100, if Litecoin dips below $100, and closes below 100, I think that's going to be pretty negative overall, psychologically speaking, for Litecoin. We can look at the Bitcoin charts as well. I mean, it's held up pretty decent in terms of the Bitcoin trading pairing, so it hasn't been the worst thing in the world, but. Yeah, I think Litecoin going below $100 will be an interesting experiment to watch. So how low do you think EOS will end up going? This is interesting because I think a lot of people were really, so EOS is interesting in and of itself because there are a lot of big investors in EOS. I mean, they raised $4 billion. There are a lot of big investors in EOS. There are some very like powerful people in the crypto ecosystem that want to see EOS succeed. And what you're seeing right now too is also, I can pull up here. Let's see, Nick, what do you got here? So this was an interesting little, here we go. So this is an interesting little dynamic that's going on. We'll talk about this, but basically Nick Tamino who runs One Confirmation, which is a crypto hedge fund. I believe he also runs Token Summit, or one of the big crypto conferences as well. But he says this: the ETH community is clearly biased against EOS, so the general negative sentiment is not surprising. But I will say this: I haven't spoken with a single DApp or decentralized application developer that has been seriously involved in Ethereum DApp development that is now shifting focus to EOS, not one. And then he goes on to say, basically, back when Ethereum launched in 2015, Bitcoin was not satisfying the needs of some of the devs, like the Vitaliks and some of those people that were initially trying to develop on Bitcoin and then ended up trying to create their own cryptocurrency platform, Ethereum, which they obviously did. So they went and formed a new project authentically to satisfy those developers. Much of the Bitcoin community spewed hate, but quietly there were smart BTC devs that shifted focus to Ethereum. The EOS community feels like a group of investors that missed ETH, and now they're looking for their own big return on investment from a new project with a good story. The lack of authentic developer community and focus on marketing and fundraising is off-putting. So basically, Nick is kind of calling out, I guess, the EOS, basically the EOS group as a whole. But it is interesting because if you notice, Bitcoin maximalists hate on Ethereum. And now you're starting to see, Bitcoin maximalists that hate on Ethereum maximalists, or just Ethereum developers or people that work in the Ethereum ecosystem. And now you have, I don't want to say Ethereum maximalists, but people that really like Ethereum hating on EOS, because EOS is competitive to EOS is obviously competitive to Ethereum. I don't know exactly how the situation will play out. It's going to be interesting to watch this. It's going to be interesting to watch this go for sure. But I will say it's you just have to consider the source when you're looking at a lot of the stuff. If you scroll down here to like some of the larger investors, like Tushar Jain from Multicoin Capital was talking just about like the data set, and there's a lot of people that I think participate in the and you got the Twitter scams. What's up, NTO money? If Twitter can figure out the damn Twitter scams, it's unbelievable that they haven't yet. It's mind-blowing. It's crazy. It's hilarious that this shit hasn't happened. But the fact that Twitter can't figure out these scams, it's funny. But I mean, as far as EOS's price, let's see, we'll pull it up I'll just look at Binance. And so EOS right now is falling off the face of the earth pretty hard. I mean, even against Bitcoin, how far is it down the past day? In the past day, it's down about 10% off. It's down 10% against Bitcoin, so it's nothing crazy. But I wouldn't bet against. So I'm not necessarily like super interested in everything EOS is doing. I need to dive into it a little bit. In more depth. I think that there is obvious elements of centralization that come with the. I think there is obvious elements of centralization when it comes to scaling and delegated proof of stake for EOS. It'll be interesting how much that really does matter, though, in the long run, because there is that trade-off. At least in my opinion, there's a trade-off between decentralization and scalability. EOS is sacrificing the some of the elements of decentralization when they have only 21 basically delegates. They have these 21 delegates that kind of rule the EOS ecosystem for greater scalability, transactions, throughput, whatever it might be. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this all pans out. But I wouldn't bet against basically a company and organization that raised $4 billion, because there's, I'm sure, a lot of different things that they can do to prop up the price, or to hire good people, pay for development, whatever it might be. So it's going to be interesting to watch how EOS can approach things, because $4 billion is not chump change. That is not chump change whatsoever. Yeah, Jackson Palmer did make a script to remove the scam tweets. Yeah, he did. Jackson's the man. Jackson is 100% the man. Guys, trying to read as many of these comments as possible. If there's anything you absolutely must have answered, throw it in the super chat, and I definitely will get to it. But if you are enjoying this, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. The more times you do that, the lower the price goes. I don't know. Shit, we're all screwed. I'm kidding. So tribalism and defending established positions. I do think that there is an element. It's interesting. Crypto, there is that element of kind of like tribalism, especially when it comes to where people have their money. And kind of going back to that point too, with I think one of the good things that we talked about in that conversation with Travis and with Rocco back on Thursday. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Go back to the channel. I believe the title is Understanding Crypto Valuations. Probably one of the better videos I've done recently, just because those guys are way smarter than me. But one of the good things that Travis said at one point in time was like strong opinions weakly held, like having the flexibility and the mindset to change your mind, and not like, you develop an opinion, you refine it, you understand it, you hold that, basically you develop a strong opinion because that's what you believe, but you allow yourself to let go of that opinion and move on if something new happens. If there's a new development, like let's say you like this altcoin, it's the best, you think it's the best altcoin on the planet, you want to own a freaking $1 billion of it, but the developers do something that's shady, or there's something about it you don't like, and you basically have the understanding to, you have the flexibility to move on from that opinion and say, okay, I like this altcoin a lot, but the developer team did something shady and I didn't like it, so I'm going to move on. Strong opinions, you have a strong opinion and you weakly hold that opinion and you can change it. I love that quote from him. Travis, look at Burst. Yeah, I think, this is something that, I guess a couple different people have talked about in the past. I feel like, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but you've asked this question before, perhaps. I haven't gotten a chance to dive into their white paper at all recently. Elastos is probably the first one. Like I said, a lot of people have asked about Elastos recently, so I will dive into Elastos. I'll put this on number 2. I'll put this on as kind of like the second one that I'll check out, just because I know you've asked this question a few different times. So I want to just make sure that I get to that as much as possible. Yeah, but I'll have to. I think we've talked about this a little bit in general, where they're kind of doing a number of different, maybe buzzwordy things, combining blockchain, Tangle, smart contracts, a lot of different things, trying to be the Linux of blockchain. Seems a little bit buzzwordy to me, but I need to check it out and I guess see if it's legit at all or not. I don't know too much about the team who's building it, kind of what's behind it. Can they actually do what they want to say? When you claim something is energy efficient, infinitely scalable, totally decentralized, and is a combination of blockchain and Tangle, those are pretty big claims. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But I'll have to do a little bit more jumping into that. Is ZCL still looking to go sky high? I don't know why ZCL would go sky high at all now, unless there's a fork. Basically, ZCL right now, Z Classic, is simply an instrument to fork dog shit coins off of. Let's be honest. It's the fact that it still has a $40 million market cap is pretty crazy. But yeah, ZCL is pretty much just a platform at this point in time to scale. Basically, just a platform at this point in time to fork crap off of. Yeah, Monero is, so somebody mentioned Monero. I do have a holding of Monero, and I would like to, I definitely would like to increase that holding. I think Monero on Ledger is going to be great when that actually happens. Let's see here. I think they have command line. So right now you can generate a Ledger Monero wallet with a command line interface. I don't think that they have an actual Monero app. They don't have the Monero app yet, but you can, if you are technically savvy, you can store Monero on your ledger as of right now utilizing a command line interface. However, I think once this actually gets to the normal version of like a ledger where you can have the app and just kind of go through that process really quick, really easy, that's going to be super solid and going to be really important to help kind of move Monero forward. I think personally, in my mind, I think that's going to be pretty big for it. So I'm excited about seeing how that ends up happening. And I'm just to have a privacy coin that you can store, to have a coin that is literally like basically infinitely private and store that on your ledger. That's pretty cool, pretty appealing. So I'm excited to see that happen. So popping in, looking at some of these questions here. ZCL is forking to anonymous Bitcoin. Yeah, it's like the 75th ZCL fork. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. So good point there, Mo. Appreciate that as well. Crypto is useless without connectivity solver between blockchains and real world smart contracts. Oracles are the next big thing. So that's something that Ari Paul has mentioned in the past as well. As far as, I think we could probably pull it up. Let's see if we can find it. He had a tweet where he mentioned, see if we can see it. So there was one point in time where Ari did tweet essentially saying that he thinks that oracles are one of the big innovations that will happen in 2018. And if you're not kind of familiar with what oracles are, something like Chainlink is something to check out. So Chainlink is one of the, at least like token wise, one of the oracles. There's other oracle solutions out there as well, but basically Chainlink and oracles, why I think they're cool, why I think they're interesting, and why I think people like why I think people like Ari are talking about them is because they allow you to, you can see here, I mean, they allow you to connect information outside of the quote unquote blockchain, outside of the outside of the decentralized world, and bring that into basically bring that information into this ecosystem. And I think that's really important. So you can basically connect APIs. So if you have a Bloomberg terminal, New York Stock Exchange, whatever it might be, you can input that data into the Ethereum blockchain, into the Bitcoin blockchain. There's a lot of different things you could do there. So I think that something like not necessarily that Chainlink is going to be the winner of the Oracle industry per se, but I do think that like that industry itself, or that little sub vertical of the crypto asset world, is going to be an important technical innovation for sure. So somebody mentioned to Eric, if it can be hacked, it's probably not worth investing in. I'm sure a lot of I mean, we've talked about it before, but I'm sure a lot of folks, what do we have, 51 cryptos. So I'm sure a lot of people have seen this before as well, and I've talked about it on a few different occasions, but the cost of the proof of work 51% attack, and this is something even to that, like, I think is number one, a big positive thing for the Ethereum ecosystem, because there are a lot of ICOs or tokens out there that are simply ERC20 tokens. So they piggyback on the security of Ethereum. Which I think is really helpful. But there's a lot of these small coins out there that are not ERC20 tokens, that have their own proof of work algorithm or blockchain. And they are very, very, very insecure, like shockingly insecure. As you've seen with the 51% attacks for Zencash recently, as you saw with 51% attacks for Verge, for Bitcoin Gold, a lot of these attacks on blockchains, just because the level of security around some of these is not super hot. So I do think that it is like somebody said, maybe it's not worth investing in if you don't believe it's secure. I think that's definitely something you want to take into consideration, and it's surprising how insecure some of these blockchains are from a 51% attack. Bitcoin is going to zero. I don't think that's ever going to happen, because as long as Bitcoin is around, if nobody else in the world buys it, I will buy up all the Bitcoin for 1 cent, and then I will only sell them for 2 cents or 1 cent. So it will always be at 1 cent, at least. Always be at 1 cent. Is transactions per second, which we hear about, all overhyped? Good question. I do think transactions per second. Let's see if I can find something stupid. Platform. Let's see if we can find one of those stupid charts. So something like this. Let's see here. So here you have like credits, blah, blah, blah. Like something like this, where it's like, okay, the smart ICO investor, you have credits, Bitcoin, Ethereum. They say Bitcoin can do 7 transactions per second, probably a little bit generous, and Ethereum can do 300 transactions per second. It can't right now, not even close. But that credits can do 1 million transactions per second. You do have to be wary of anytime somebody says they can do a large amount of transactions per second, because there usually is a trade-off, whether it's, like I was talking about before, whether it's a lack of security or increased centralization. Something like Ripple, this according to this is how much.net, I don't know, but Ripple can do, according to this, 1,500 transactions per second, which is a lot more than Bitcoin, a lot more than Ethereum. But Ripple is arguably significantly more centralized than a Bitcoin or an Ethereum in terms of the nodes running it and a lot of the kind of the validators. So I think that you could argue from a centralization perspective that right now, at least, the more transactions per second, the more centralized it is, or there's trade-offs. Like Bitcoin Cash, you can do 60 transactions per second per se, but Jordan, what's up? Thank you for the $2. RIP and peace to your cryptocurrency holdings. It was very nice to know you. It was good to be your friend. And yeah. Crypto's dead and this is the afterlife. But yeah, I mean, arguably there's trade-offs every time from there are just numerous trade-offs when it comes to transactions per second. But we do need to get to a point. I mean, you talk about Visa right now. Visa can do 24,000 transactions per second. Bitcoin can't do anywhere near that amount. But Visa is essentially controlled by Visa, and blockchains are pretty inefficient databases right now. So we need to get to a point where that all gets figured out. Buffalo Chicken Wrap, if you tell us how to get Elastos if we can't use Huobi, maybe you can reach out to somebody. There might be, I'm not sure, if you might want to just go on Twitter or check out Elastos' Reddit or Telegram group, see if there's another. I would just pop into the Reddit or pop into their Telegram, see if maybe you could buy some OTC from somebody, see if there's somebody that's selling Elastos over the counter, like via Reddit or in Telegram. Maybe you can send them Bitcoin or something like that, if they have a good reputation that you can confirm with somebody else. So you probably have to buy it at a markup if you do it that way, but that's still something that you might want to look into. But I don't know if Huobi still does KYC or not. I think they exclude U.S. residents, or they're supposed to exclude U.S. residents, but it might be one of the little VPN wink wink nudge nudge. So I see people still freaking out, which is wonderful. Pop over here, see what's up. So all hail Nannerpuss. What's up, man? I'm not in crypto anymore. Still enjoy your content though. Keep it up. Curious as to what the future holds. Well, if you left crypto, hopefully at a higher point than you got into it, very much appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much for that. Super kind to you. So thank you for that, and glad you're still kind of keeping an eye on things. And that's, I mean, even if you leave the world of cryptocurrency, if, like, you don't want to invest in it anymore, you're tired of it, the volatility, whatever, just keeping an eye on things is I think important. Because there will be opportunities that come by in the future that I think you can potentially miss out on if you are not just keeping an eye on and keeping a pulse of what's happening in the industry. I think that's an important way to approach things, even if you don't have any money in it, just passively looking at what's going on. So I think there are a lot of people that got in 2013, like one of the, I guess, takeaways from that, a lot of people got into the crypto market, like I said before, the whole cycles and all this, the stuff that goes on. A lot of people got in, myself personally, December 2013, and the slow bleed out or the pretty rapid bleed out, but the bleed out essentially that occurred between the top of the market in December 2013 and between the Ethereum ICO, like a year and a half later, a lot of people left the market, stopped paying attention, stopped caring about it. You would have had the opportunity to participate in the Ethereum ICO at under $1 if you had stuck around and kind of kept an eye on what was happening, but a lot of people missed that opportunity and missed out on some pretty significant gains because of it. Will Doug Polk lose the bet to Tone Vase? It's looking like it's pretty possible. I mean, we're only $700 away, and as you saw before, we could drop $600 in 2 hours. So all it takes is one big sell order, and our buddy Doug might be owing Tone 10 grand. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't really want to see it below 6K, but if it does, he's going to be paying 10 grand to Tone, and then I'm going to be paying 10K to GDAX to buy more Bitcoin. So it's another Bart. Yeah, we can also go up $1,000 in an hour too. That's 100%. That is 100% a real thing. 90% of the people in crypto are just money grabbing idiots. Yeah. I mean, I would say there's definitely a good amount of speculation and money grabbing and a lot of things that for the most part, people are in crypto because of the money. I don't want to say I'm just in it for the tech, but like the cool thing or the exciting thing to me, at least in regards to like working in crypto, in the crypto industry now at AirSwap, is like getting the opportunity to kind of define the space moving forward and work on like really interesting projects that nobody necessarily has like the ideal solution for. It's like a new thing every day, which is cool to me. And I really like that because for the most part, there's no like book you can read that's like, okay, here's how you build this. Or like some paper that you read that's like, all right, here's what you do next, because most of this stuff hasn't been done before. So people are kind of blazing their own trails. And that's why it's fun to me to work in this space. And that's why I really like it. Outside of obviously, like, I have a lot of money in the crypto industry, or comparatively to me, it's a lot of money to me personally. It's a good amount of money to me personally. So I do think like that I have money in it because I do think it's going to make me money as well. I mean, that's kind of my own belief system, is I think that we are going to see overall, I don't think we're at the top. I don't think $800 billion, the December timeframe, January timeframe, was the top we'll ever see again. But yeah, I think the entire space is really interesting. But yeah, there's significantly more speculation than anything else, I believe. Coins are all about the money. Otherwise, why invest? Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of utility tokens that are supposed to have utility and nobody uses them for their intended legal purposes, and they simply speculate on them. So that's, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that's not the case. I'm not going to say every utility token people are actually using it for. Ultimately, for the space to get beyond pure speculation, though, we're going to need to get to a point where the utility tokens actually have utility and people use them for their intended purposes. Otherwise, those utility tokens should not be valuable. They shouldn't be, because they're supposed to have value correlated with the utility provided by them. Dale, I mean, that's a good point for sure. So not sure how one can invest in a market that resembles the Wild West. It's all speculation. I mean, you can invest in speculative markets, but there isn't necessarily there's no proper valuation metric. There is no P/E ratio. There's, you go to Google Finance and you look at all the numbers, and you can look at a Q4, you can look at an earnings report, and you can determine accurate metrics, and you can look at comparable stocks and things like that in the traditional markets. You can't do that in crypto. All of this stuff is still being developed by, whether it's hedge fund managers or just regular people that really are into the data and things like that. I mean, you can invest in anything, but it is obviously a speculative market at this point in time. Read through some of these questions and laughing a little bit. What is the next event or conference you're attending? So there are actually a couple that are going down in New York tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So there are two security token conferences that I'll be going to. There'll be two security token conferences that will be in New York City that I'll be at. If anybody's at them, definitely let me know. Feel free to say hi if you're there. But I am doing a lot more work in the security token space now. So I'll be at those conferences Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in New York. And then I'm not speaking. I'm just going there for work and for meetings and working on some partnerships and things like that. But on the other side of the house, I will be at the NAC3 conference in San Francisco. So if you guys are in San Francisco, there should be a discount code. Below in the description for tickets to NAC3. I'll be speaking there. Carter Thomas from Coin Mastery, Crypto Lark. So a couple other people will be speaking at NAC3 in San Francisco. Should be fun. Should be a damn good time. Like the guys that host that, so it should be a lot of fun. Is Tron partnering with Alibaba? I doubt it. I doubt it. Bill Smith, what's up, man? I spent my last $5 on the super chat instead of Burger King. Thoughts on the future of Neo? Bought it high. Should I trade it for Bitcoin? Neo's been an interesting one. I feel like the hype around Neo's kind of died off a little bit. The smart contract, or I guess the general purpose platforms as a whole, we can pull it up over here. The general purpose computing platforms, the Ethereums, the Neos, the EOSs, the Icons, they all seem to have an interesting hype cycle. Whereas people get really, really excited about a coin for a little bit of time, and then as soon as the price starts to die off a little bit, like the excitement around it just kind of wanes off a little bit. And the same could be said about Neo, about Cardano recently. Cardano hasn't done much of anything. There have been a number of Waves hasn't really done much of anything. There are Ethereum Classic, Qtum. There are a lot that seem like they've just kind of they've gone through their market cycle, they've gone through the roof, and then they pull back substantially. And right now, EOS is the one that, granted, if you take today out of the mix, where it's down 23% and basically leading the market in terms of having a negative day. But Neo itself kind of seems like it already went through that market cycle, whereas EOS is kind of gaining the popularity right now. I don't necessarily know if Neo's fallen out of favor with investors, but it has, I mean, the fact that it's down 50% in the last 3 months and really hasn't had any positive movements since March or so. It was one of the last movers and held up the best out of anybody through February. Like, February is a pretty shitty month when it came to the crypto markets. And I'll move this down a little bit so you can actually see. But February was a pretty crappy month for the most part. And Neo held up really well all the way through February. And then it's been pretty much on just a stairway down all the way. A little bit of a bounce back. But yeah, it's traded at $45 or so a few different times in its lifetime, all the way back to August. And it's now back in that same range as well. Crypto, biggest scam in history. Somebody bought the top. I love it. Like, it's so funny when people come in and are like, crypto's the biggest scam in the world. And why are you watching this shit? Go on. Bye-bye. Hey, what's up, Tony? Nice to be going on. Yeah, great to meet you as well. For sure, I'll definitely check out the site, man. Happy to take a look after this, and I'll shoot you an email. I think you have my card too. Shoot me an email. And happy to look into everything and see if there's a way we can work together. Sir, please tell. Yeah, file all refund requests to Satoshi. He'll hook you up. You'll be fine. Except Satoshi died with Hal Finney, and/or Nick Szabo is still alive, so who knows? Oh man. Well, guys, at this point in time, I haven't eaten dinner, and I'm getting pretty hungry. So now I might celebrate the dip tonight with a little steak, maybe a little ribeye, make it extra rare because the market is really red today. So might go out, get myself a little bit of a ribeye, and enjoy that. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. Would really appreciate that. The likes help to get this video out to a ton more people. Good luck in the markets today. Hopefully, we see a little bit of a bounce. If not, our friend Dougie's going to be owing 10K to Tone, so let's hope for Doug's sake he doesn't have to do that. But yeah, let's hope for a little bit of bounce, see what ends up happening. I'm not holding my breath. I don't necessarily think we're gonna bounce here. Like I said, keeping some extra money on the sidelines to buy in significantly lower, see what ends up happening with that. But really do appreciate the time, everybody. Thank you so much. Take it easy. Peace. See you, everybody.